Hey guys, just a few days ago, we had the MetaConnect 2023. We learned a lot about the Quest 3. We have comparisons between that and the Quest 2 and the Quest Pro. There's so much to talk about, all these new games, devices, and much to see in 2024. All that and more, you're watching Bringhurst VR. All right, so MetaConnect 2023. I streamed it live. For those of you who were there, I appreciate you. You guys are awesome. We got the Quest 3. We had learned previously that through leaks, they'll be working on a Quest Lite and a Quest Pro 2, but neither of those were announced at this event, so we don't know a lot about it. But the Quest 3, we know quite a bit now. Some of the stuff wasn't actually addressed at Connect, but has since been revealed and confirmed. To begin, differences between the Quest 3 and the Quest 2. Resolution for the Quest 3 is 2064 by 2208. That's 4.5 megapixels per eye on dual LCD screens. No OLED, we knew that from the leaks, compared to the Quest 2's 1832 by 1920 on a single panel. Additionally, the Quest 3 is out of the box 90 Hz with an experimental 120 Hz compared to the Quest 2, which began on 72 Hz and is capable of between 60 and 120, again, experimentally. The original Quest 2 has Fresnel lenses, whereas the Quest 3 has pancake lenses. Not only does that cut down on the weight of the headset, it makes for a slimmer profile. If you've used the Quest Pro, you know how important this is. The sweet spot is much wider. You don't have to worry about as much where the headset is on your head. It reduces God rays. It's just good all around. Now, the field of view on the Quest 2 is reportedly 96 degrees by 96 degrees. Depending on how tight you wear that to your head and even the kind of facial interface you use, that can affect your field of view. So this needs to be taken with a grain of salt. However, compared against that, the Quest 3 is reported to be 110 by 96, which is significantly more than the Quest 2. It's more than the Quest Pro. Having said that, the people who've actually worn this, who were there, who got to try it out as part of the Meta Quest Ambassador program, they're saying that they're glad to see that on paper this is the case, but their experience, it seemed about the same as the Quest 2. So I'm excited to try it for myself, see how it feels, how it compares to the Quest 2 and the Quest Pro. We'll figure that out during our unboxing on or around the 10th of October. Now, as far as IPD adjustments, because the Quest 3 has dual screens, you're able to physically adjust the IPD. A lot of this was achieved on the Quest 2 through programming, really. You lost some FOV as a result. And as far as the IPD adjustment goes, the Quest 3 is capable, it says, of 53 to 75 millimeters, which is pretty wide. The Quest 2 is reportedly 58, 63, and 68 millimeters. There is no in between. The Quest 3 is rocking a Snapdragon XR2 Gen 2 chip, whereas the Quest 2 has a Snapdragon XR2 Gen 1. The Quest 3 has 8 gigabytes of RAM, whereas the Quest 2 has 6 gigabytes of RAM. The Quest Pro had 12 gigs of RAM, which it's kind of a bummer to see that they've gone back on that. I'm assuming they're tailoring it to meet what is the average bar, the acceptable multitasking that they think the average user will need. However, 8 gigs of RAM is not a lot. It's kind of disappointing. That's one of several disappointments that we'll get into. But rest assured, Meta is, I don't know, I don't think they would have done it if it was going to interfere with the average user in any way. The Quest 3 is going to be out of the box with 128 gigs and 512 gigs, whereas the Quest 2 offered 64, 128, and 256. They both offer USB-C, and the Quest 3 has contact pads for optional docking and charging. Now, the Quest 3 weighs 515 grams, whereas the Quest 2 weighs 503 grams. Not a noticeable difference on paper, but though the Quest 3 is heavier than the Quest 2 because it's such a slimmer profile, because it's so much closer to your face when you're wearing it, everyone who's used it says it's more comfortable. You wouldn't know it was heavier while wearing it on your head. So this is great. The Quest 3 has the battery life for between 1.5 and 3 hours, whereas the Quest 2 is 2 to 3 hours. So that's an additional bummer, but you have to understand the cameras are higher resolution, that you're powering a depth sensor. There's more going on. The XR2 Gen 2 chip is more demanding. All the same with the Elite strap that they're offering, and we'll look at that in a bit. I think that battery pack will alleviate some of the woes. They are both inside out, no external beacons. Neither of them have face and eye tracking, as the Quest Pro does. The Quest 3 has 6 external sensors, whereas the Quest 2 has 4. The batteries are both AA, they're both touch, and we'll get into some more of those differences. Neither of them have cameras like the Quest Pro controllers do. They both offer a 3.5 jack. The Quest 2 has a jack port on both sides of the headset, which has been widely used on headsets like Globular Cluster, and convenient for when you want to use the Vive Deluxe audio strap. Right now, all you need to know is that one side of the headset has USB-C and the other side has an audio jack. So there are no longer dual ports on this headset. The Quest 3 has true color pass-through, whereas the Quest 2 is strictly black and white. And even the Quest Pro, it was kind of a workaround. It was black and white cameras with a single kind of low resolution camera that was overlaying color on top of it. So this, with the Quest 3, we have actual physical, finally, color pass-through. And lastly, the MSRP. Now the Quest 2 is $300 for the 128 gigabyte and $350 for the 256. So that's more than 100 gigs uptick for a $50 variance. Compare that to the Quest 3, which is $500 for 128 gigs and $650 for 512 gigs. That's quite a leap, but it's also quite a leap, $150 more for that amount of storage. So again, I'll talk about that in a second, but those are the differences between the Quest 3 and the Quest 2. That's what we know about it, and everything else regarding comfort and true battery life and accessories and what does and what doesn't work, that's going to be a hands-on thing, and I'll make a video once I have that. Now let's talk about the differences between the controllers. The notable differences between the Quest 2, the Quest 3, and the Quest Pro are numerous, but all you need to know is the Quest Pro controllers had cameras built into them for inside-out tracking. The Quest 3 does not. Like the Quest 2, it uses IR lights, though the ring is absent. The way they do this is they put lights on the faceplate around the buttons, and as you can imagine, when you tilt the controller, you lose view of those lights. The cameras can no longer see it, and so what they're doing is they're using a combination of AI, building in IK structure, hand tracking, and combining that with the IR lights. People who use the Quest 3, I'm told they love it. It worked just fine. They had no issues with tracking. The Quest Pro, on the other hand, it did have its issues. When you tried to boot up a game for the first time, when you turn on the Quest Pro, it would hang. The controllers had to boot in a sense, and they would hang and get stuck, and there'd be a 6 to 12 inch variance on where your hand was versus where the controller was, and it was kind of a pain in the butt. But once it began working, it was reliable. Again, the Quest 3 controllers are supposed to work fine. From everyone who was there at Connect, who got to use them, they said it was great. So I'm looking forward to it. I want to know if you guys are going to be using the Quest Pro controllers with the Quest 3. Is that $300 price tag too much to handle? What are you guys going to be doing? Additionally, there are some differences between the Quest Pro and the Quest 3 controllers as far as haptics. Now, in the Quest Pro controller, there are several haptic motors. One of them is in the joystick, one is in the trigger, and then there's a full body haptic motor inside the controller. In the Quest 3, there is one haptic motor, apparently, and it's kind of, it's this catch-all. It's all inclusive. Meta has spoken with developers, and there's this catch-all programming that kind of allows them to build a haptic profile for their games that are expressed appropriately across all the controllers, regardless of which controller is being used with which headset. And so I think we can expect something that's fluid, that's dynamic, and that feels good regardless of the controller. But the Quest 3 does have a leg up. Though it lacks some of those haptic motors, it's got a 2-stage trigger. That 2-stage trigger essentially gives the controllers this pressure sensor so that you can sense how hard you're pulling the trigger, how tightly you're gripping something, and I think that could be put to pretty good use. Overall, I think a lot of people are going to be going for the Quest Pro controllers just because it's tried and true. But again, I myself had issues with those things booting up and tracking properly. Once it booted, it was good to go. But all of it with a grain of salt. Okay, also at MetaConnect, we were given a look at their updated Rayban glasses. Now, the original models were released a couple of years ago. I had them. I tried them. I kind of looked like an idiot. And it was good for taking pictures, and that was about it. The sound was subpar. There was no bass frequency at all to speak of. And I don't know, it was just generally unuseful. So I didn't keep it around. These new ones, I purchased. So we're going to see what they're like. They are more promising out of the box. And let's go over some of these specs. It is dual cameras to begin, which means that down the line, this isn't something they mentioned, but down the line, I wouldn't be surprised if they were able to take stereoscopic photos for later viewing inside of the Quest 3. That would be kind of cool, to record a video and then view it back through the Quest 3 with all that clarity, with that depth of field. What a great way to relive memories. I hope they do something like that, but again, they didn't mention it specifically. So the camera, it's 12 megapixel wide angle. Storage is 32 gigabytes, capable of storing up to 500 photos and 130-second videos. It's a Qualcomm Snapdragon AR1 Gen 1 platform, a 5 mic array, open ear speakers, and discrete directional sound. And they have 21 different variations, styles. Each can be ordered with prescription lenses. Now, of the two styles that they offer the headliners and the wayfarers. Now, you need to be aware, if you go to Rayban.com and try to purchase these, if you're not careful, seems like they're still selling the model from a couple of years ago, and they're still kind of expensive. They're advertising 5 megapixel on those, so those don't appear to have these new updated specs that I'm talking about. So if I were you, if you plan on getting these, go straight to Meta, because if you try to order the round style or the meteor style, which is what we got with the original model, you're going to be missing out on the higher megapixel. You're going to be missing out on the streaming capability. All of this we'll talk about. Go to meta.com for that. They're not paying me to say that. I'm just telling you that there appears to be two models, both of which are similarly priced, and it's a problem. So I was saying with the headliners and the wayfarers, they're shaped a bit different, but they all offer the same colors, the same skins. They offer transition lenses. They offer different colored lenses from green and blue to black and even clear if you don't want to use that functionality. They also offer prescription lenses, so it's fully customizable. But they mentioned that you'll be able to stream with them live to Facebook and Instagram. And additionally, you'll be able to use Meta's new AI functionality where you hold a button and you can talk to their AI and say, Meta, take a picture, or Meta, record a video, Meta, stream live. But you can also, shortly, I think, you'll be able to tell it to identify things you're looking at. If you have a barcode that you're in the grocery store and you want to know how much is this compared to, say, Walmart, you could scan it with your glasses, tell it, say, hey, scan this, and then it'll pull it up on your phone. So there's some real world practical applications here that I'm kind of excited about. If I can use AI, something akin to ChatGPT, you could be examining a phone that you really like and say, wow, how much is this? And then Meta, what phone is this? And it'll look at it and tell you. So I'm looking forward to that. The practical applications are, I mean, they touched on it, but it's something that I think they're going to expand upon. And so I'm looking forward to it. Now, what did I buy? Like I said, I got the headliners, which I'm looking forward to trying. I got the Quest 3 with the smaller storage capacity. The reason I did that is because I am largely Steam VR. I won't need a lot of space on my headset. That said, I don't know how much Asgard's Wrath is gonna take up. If it's like 100 gigs, it's not gonna be 100 gigs. Regardless, if it fills up fast, I may bail on it and upgrade down the line. But right now, that's what I went with. That $150 for an upgrade is pretty rough. They're pretty hopeful. So I don't know. We'll just have to see. Now, during that MetaQuest Connect, they showed a few different games with Quest 2, Quest 3 comparisons, and we got to see some pretty stunning upgrades. This is The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. We got to see a Quest 2, Quest 3 comparison, and the graphical fidelity is just enormous. The upgrade, it can't be understated. They did this with Red Matter 2 as well. And it appears that that next gen XR2 chip is really pulling its weight. It just looks better. It nearly looks PC VR quality. What they did here is pretty wild. So between that and the improved pass-through, which we looked at previously, is it Retina level? Is it that kind of a wild pixel density? No, it's not. No, it's not. But it's good enough is what everyone's telling us. So it's a good step in the right direction. All of this is great. I'm looking forward to it. We got one more thing. The other day, Mark Zuckerberg did an interview with Lex Friedman. They both wore the Quest Pro, and they used this new photorealistic avatar system that Mark was playing with a year or two ago. We got to see a sneak peek, and it was stunning, but it couldn't be handled on a Quest 2 at the time. It might not be able to be handled on the Quest 3 right now. We don't know if they were doing this off the Quest Pro or if they were doing it through a PC connected to the Quest Pro. There was a cable connected to the headset, but was that for charging or was that for PC VR? We just don't know. Regardless, the effect is pretty stunning. Even Lex went out of his way to say that this was blowing his mind and they had avoided the uncanny valley. It looks good. It's suggested that we can expect some kind of standalone functionality with this tech, with this avatar system, come 2025 when they release the Quest Pro 2. If you guys aren't subscribed, please subscribe right now. It helps my channel so much. I'm such a small channel, but I need your support. I'm really glad you guys are here. You're all awesome. Thank you to my Patreon subscriber. You guys are great. You've been watching Bringhurst VR, and have a great day.